good people, and welcome back to another episode of the God Pass podcast. I'm your host, Bolelo Moela, and thank you so much again for letting me into your spaces this morning, this afternoon, this evening, to kind of engage with you. Today is episode 3 of the series on the topic of grief. And today, like I said last week, that I'd be speaking to another dear friend of mine and a brother in the faith. And so his name is Lucas Molepo, and he'll be joining us in the conversation today to tell us about his experiences with grief. And we're kind of just going to be talking about that today. So without any further ado, please introduce yourself, Lucas.
Thanks for having me. My name is Lucas Molepo. I'm a lover of Jesus and just a entrepreneur, problem solver, and just love solving problems. However, even if it doesn't make me money.
you actually always are like solution based, like you
you're
always looking for solutions. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Lucas also has a podcast. It's called The Square One Show.
Square One Show, It's a podcast about the journey. It's a podcast that focuses on people's journeys and what is it that they're acquiring the knowledge and if they can share and if they have also interesting stories to share. So it just covers that, interviews whoever, wherever, like as long as the person feels like they have knowledge to share and a story that can impact society positively. Yes.
Dope. And where can people find your podcast?
The podcast is on streaming platforms like podcast apps, Anchor, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Just search the Square One Show. If it doesn't come up, search Lucas Molepo. Just search my name.
All right, man. Thank you so much. So to you who's listening,
it's a pleasure and an honor.
Oh, sorry. No, but thank you very much for just sharing that. To anyone who's listening, that's where you can find the podcast. It's a dope podcast. So
Thanks.
So I think the reason that we're here is I asked if I could speak to you just because of the topic, grief, right? And I know that there are certain things that you've gone through, not just with losing someone close to you, but just certain changes that you've had to endure that were pretty big. And I think that's the whole reason I just wanted to understand your whole process of how you went through that, right? So I think to start, so what I want to find out is how old were you when you experienced your first significant loss?
I was 15, living in Polokwane at the time.
Oh yeah.
So when I came to like clear consciousness, just to see the world and know it for what it is, my mom was already sick, so I never like had a full healthy mother, like go out, movies, popcorn, ice cream type thing. So for a period of time, it's just like taking care of her because she was like bedridden type of sick. And in 2008, I was 15. There was this morning when my brother came to my room crying, like super, super crying. And I don't know, man, when I was at that age, I think I somehow prepared myself. I don't know where I got that skill, but I kind of prepared myself. But when he came crying, I just knew. When you just knew, you just know. I just knew, and I just knew that this is it. Because like the last time because she was in another hospital, like visiting her, the last time that she left the house, she even asked me not to come. But like most of the time, we just go with her and make sure that she's admitted, and we'll come back. The last time she left, and she asked me not to come, and I knew that I was seeing her for the last time.
That's deep.
I just knew. So found out, and after that, like I was crying, just accepted it because I was getting ready to go to school. Went to school, when I came back from school, like relatives were in the house, like confirms that it's real. So like there was that. And funny that like the topic is on grief. I don't feel like we really, as a Black culture, we really get the process of grieving
Yeah.
and its importance, because okay, I was like a person who loved school and books and whatever,
Yeah.
but there's still some things that children are still forced to do, even though they're supposed to be grieving. It's like you're putting too much pressure on yourself as an adult to get over the process, but you're also putting it on the kids
True.
to say, yeah, go do this, go do that. It's like you're not even trying to find out how they're doing.
Absolutely.
And yeah, just funny that I went to school during that week, the whole week.
Whoa. Just on the day you found out, and the next day you still went to school.
Yeah, so the whole week where it
amazing.
happened, I went to school. So it already shows you that from the get go, you're not dealing with it.
Yeah.
From the get go, you're taught to ignore it. So like yeah, that's just how the loss happened and how the grieving process started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever at that point have any time to kind of acknowledge the fact that I lost my mom and she's not here anymore, and just deal with it?
I think I automatically first time went into like the first stage, which is in denial.
Yeah.
For the longest time.
Yeah.
It took me forever, man, to actually accept, because I always thought that she went somewhere and she'd come back. And so you'd get these dreams. So like in dreams, like you're with her, she's getting you things, and what's messed up is just even at this grown stage, it's like recent years where like she came in a dream and she was like, hey, actually I wasn't really gone. I went to this place. I'm back. We can go through your childhood again and live that again. And you know, such dreams, you'll remember everything.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it was such a long dream. I was so happy that my mom's back, you know, like those type of stuff. Until you had to wake up. Yeah. So I think I was in denial for a long time, longest time. And yeah, I think when I was like 20, yeah, that's when I so from 15 to 20, that's when I like accepted that she's not coming back.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
It's a long time. I'm so sorry about that, because I can just imagine what that does to you. Like every time waking up from that kind of dream, it's just soul crushing.
Yeah.
Because I've experienced the same thing, and though it was in a short space of time, just waking up and realizing that amazing dream was just a dream, and now I have to wake up and face the reality that this person's not here anymore. That will really crush you.
Yeah.
And at that point, so when did you move to Joburg after Polokwane?
So Joburg moved in 2017.
Yeah.
It was after I graduated. Yeah, I was just tired of the ups and downs, like for coming for interviews, and also it's like a strenuous thing on your wallet.
Sure.
So yeah, I just thought, let me just move this side, attend interviews, and yeah, that just didn't go according to plan, and ended up being here for the longest time without income. And then as a person who's wired to solve problems, just started a business so that you can also take care of yourself. Yeah, that's just how the business thing came. Yeah.
Okay. And so now you're and how old were you when you moved to Joburg?
25.
So you're 25. So
yeah.
I mean,
just
now,
giving away everything.
Yeah.
It shows that I did my degree for 5 years.
You know what? That's okay. that genuine. I was just gonna say that in Columbia, you're saying we're exposing your age, but that's okay.
My mind is there's like varsity 20, and there's like
child. That doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
doesn't even matter. But see, now you're 25 and you're in Joburg and you're working, and you've now accepted the loss of your mother.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, am I correct in saying that at that point were you still grieving? Were you still going through that process of accepting that your mom is no longer here and just trying to
when I moved aside?
Yeah.
I can say I was at that stage, the last stage, acceptance. Yeah. And now having to empathize and try help other people going through the same thing, just trying to encourage them through the process. Yeah, I think I was at that level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just amazing how it helps you
Mm.
to attain some things, in this fruit that is bitter, that is
Mm.
grief. When we bite it,
Mm.
there's some nutrients,
Mm.
so we gain some things, so that when someone is going through the same thing,
Mm.
you won't react like a person who's not grieving,
So
because
true.
a person who's not grieving, they're just gonna come with
Yes.
Bible verses
Yeah.
and everything. And at that time, when the thing just happened, you don't want Bible verses. You don't.
You
You
don't want
don't.
any of
You
that.
just want someone to just come and give you a hug,
Yeah.
and
Sometimes not even, you don't even have to understand,
not even say anything.
just be
Just give
there.
you a hug and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true, and that's so profound.
Yeah.
It just, I'm just thinking of just all the times that we've spoken, and so from this point you've accepted, and I love how you just say, Uguti, at that point you're able to empathize with someone going through the same thing. And so I mean, that whole process of even losing someone so dear to you has equipped you to better handle, the things that you come across in life,
Mm.
right? And how to empathize with people close to you, and just how to be there for someone who may be going through the same thing.
Mm.
And that's just one part, or one of the kinds of griefs that you have endured in life. And so I also want to ask you about this now specific thing. I know that last year, so we're in a global pandemic, right? And so many people have been affected by it in so many different ways. And one of the ways that I believe that you have been affected is that, like a lot of people in the country, and a lot of people just globally, your employment was affected, and you had to kind of face that reality. And I want to kind of understand how that process was for you, because I know that we grieve different things. And I know that in an uncertain time like now, where you don't really know what's going to happen, and they're doing these cuts at work and all this stuff, and now you kind of get to a place where you're no longer employed. How did that affect you? Did you encounter any grief of losing your job and losing that stable income, and kind of the vision that you may have had of how your life would pan out from that point? How was that for you? Well, how was that experience?
I stand to be corrected, but I think when you lose something that is great, or yeah, it's just of great significance, you just automatically enter into the grieving process. Some people might not notice that they're going through that, but it's happening, And yeah, I think it happened, man. And at that time, and I think also like having, so for the job part, it wasn't as hectic because you had a side hustle, like a business on the side. So I think it was more bearable, but you still go through, like, because you have to change, like there's a change in lifestyle, and yeah, you start thinking about those sort of stuff. Yeah. And firstly, you think they'll call you back because you're in denial, right?
Yeah.
And also when they lay people off, they just have this tendency of saying it's a short-term thing. Maybe if we need people like you, we'll call you and stuff. So you're in denial, you think they'll call you back, and then you get angry that they'll not call you back, and there's now bargaining, start asking God, like, why me?
Yeah.
But then the Bible tells you that these things happen, and we shouldn't grieve like the people in the world who doesn't have hope. So so it just shows you that these things are going to happen, but as believers, we are called to grieve differently, and know that we are, like I said, in this bitter fruit, there's nutrients, and God is there with you. And there's also something about grief that I've noticed, that when you are grieving, God is with you in a way that you can't experience it again.
Yeah, that is very true.
You've never experienced it before. And I say this because I know. I feel like when you have lost something, God is with you in a way that you can't say, I can have this when I've
Yeah.
finished this
I
process.
know this. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also, can I call it a blessing, because Scripture says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted."
Absolutely.
You know, so I feel like it's a blessing because God is with you in a way that is not with anyone.
True.
And He'll never be with you in that way again.
Yeah.
Until you grieve again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with these two different very significant changes in your life, having lost your mother at 15 and now losing your job, and I mean, I understand that you say it's not as hectic because for you were into business even before you got this full-time employment, and even after it, you're able to be like, you know what, I'm just going to pursue this, right? At these different points where these are two very significant changes, though they may be different. I understand that at this point where you lost your job, you had a relationship with God, right? So you, I think, were able to go through the situation and know that, okay, this is not, it's not so hopeless, right? Apart from the fact that you actually had something to fall back on, I feel like if at this point you felt it's not that hopeless, was it the case when you were 15 and you are now going through this denial for several years? At that point, did you have the same knowledge of God at that point where you could be like, man, it's not that bad?
No, actually, I'm the first person to get saved in my family.
Yeah.
So, and like, I don't know if I have told this story somewhere. It's just that I tell people around me, but I don't think it's documented.
Yeah.
But if you look at my teenage years to early 20s, I was just this person who was just lost in the world, you know, like all these evil things I've done, you know, and it was during that process where God found me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to speculate, but I feel like it was that process that led me to God. When I was grieving my mom, and I didn't even know that I was grieving. So it was totally different. Like looking, and thank you for asking that question, because I never actually put it in contrast.
Yeah.
Back then it was just running around breaking everything because you're in pain. But now it's just like full trust.
Yeah.
You know, full trust, and just seeing God's hand just carry you from certain level of healing to certain level of healing, from glory to glory to glory. Yeah, it's totally different. Yeah, grieving processes from that time and now. Yeah,
I think that's so, it's so beautiful for you to even be able to make that distinction, Oguti, even though you weren't aware of the fact that you actually were grieving, that you were showing it and it was coming out in how your life was and how you were behaving and just how things were happening, and how it's so different now because of the knowledge you have with God, and because you know that, you know what, this is not completely hopeless.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. I think without God, in the 6 stages of grief, it's possible for you to just get stuck somewhere.
That's true.
So when you're not going through it with God, you can get stuck somewhere for the longest time, which it wasn't even supposed to be like that. So I can say with me, in the depression, in the, how can I say it? The first process, it was the depression stage for the longest time. And you don't even know, because in Black culture, it's not a topic that we are familiar with, depression. And for the longest time, that's where I was stuck. But I feel like in this new life that you're on, and when you are faced with this process, you just guided through every stage. And you just find yourself way ahead, and you just don't know how you got there. It just doesn't even take you that long. And this is my story. I'm not saying that there's a Christian who cannot feel like they're stuck somewhere, but they have that help, because God is with those who mourn.
And thank you for making that note, because I have noticed that so many people can just easily say that, well, that's not what I'm going through, so why would you even put it that way, and just say Gutumuntu is insensitive. But it's important to note that even as Christians, we're different. We are serving one God, but we are different. We're still individuals. We're still different. We still are wired differently, and it's a constant journey every single day.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
going through real life,
Yeah.
So I also just want to I want to understand or basically find out from you, especially with I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked Lungelo on the previous episode, Wuti, with the loss of your mother and with just having to experience losing your job in a global pandemic when things are so uncertain. Do you think at any point did you ever feel as though um, that was it had God's purpose fingerprinted all over the whole thing, that at that point it was God's purpose for you to lose your mom at age 15, and at this point it was God's purpose or part of God's plan for your life for you to had lost your job? Do you ever feel that way? And just what is your process just when you think about that whole thing?
Yeah, I think I can give you two answers for the two losses.
Yeah.
Because if I don't know if I can like sit down and think what is
Yeah.
the purpose for me to be
Yeah.
motherless, right?
Yeah.
But like I can go back to what scripture says, that these things happen.
Absolutely.
We do grieve, we do lose people and things. But instead of mourning like those who have no hope,
Yeah.
let's mourn differently. So
Yeah.
I think it's just life journey for people to come and go, and they're gonna leave loved ones.
Yeah.
So I guess if I'm going to try look for a purpose, it would be for me to try and mourn differently, which I was never taught.
Yeah.
Like you don't get taught those things. Like I said, when someone passes away, they still expect you to carry on as normal, go to school, go to work,
Like
go,
nothing happened.
like nothing happened. And then in the second case, I can say, yeah, I do see the purpose, because the office job was just so hectic for me. Yeah, it triggered a whole lot of things. It just, yeah, I can't say I was fulfilled there behind the desk. It was really, really hectic. And even though it caused, I don't even know, man, if this is how we should think, that as long as something puts food on the table while it's detrimental to our mental health, I don't know if we should think that way. But I can say that, yeah, you did lose that salary, but at the same time, if I look on the brighter side of it, I can say the purpose was just to get me out of a very toxic environment that sparked so many things, like anxiety, depression, like trigger things that you have dealt with or busy dealing with, but just trigger them all over again. Yeah, so I can, if I'm to look for purposes, I can say those would be the biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like how you say that just because you're in a situation where you're earning money, this job is great, but it's detrimental to your health, that it's like it's worth staying. And sometimes I feel as though, and this is just with me personally, I feel as though there are situations where I personally wouldn't have removed myself there had God not moved and left me in a place where I couldn't go back into that situation. And so that's been a job for me before as well, where it was extremely toxic and it left me quite depressed, going home and crying all the time and just being unhappy, but feeling as though, look, I have this new lifestyle that I enjoy so much, and I really want to be independent, so I'm just going to keep doing it. And I feel like had it not been for a different opportunity or just being at a place where I was okay with what God's will for my life at that point was, I think I would have stayed. And I think it would have, my health would have continued to deter. I would have still been this really unhappy person, and so on and so forth. And I think it just speaks to that a lot of the times we stay in places just because we feel like it feeds to the lifestyle that we think it's okay for us to have, or that we want to have, even though it picks away at who we are, and it leaves us at a place of emptiness and sadness and depression.
Yeah. Sometimes that can be a job.
Yeah, that's true. All right, man. So I think we're at the end of this episode. right? So I would like to ask you if you could kind of, well, not even kind of, like what would you say to someone who's grieving either the loss of a parent, a brother, a sister, a job, a relationship, anyone who's just having to experience a very great loss in their lives, and how to kind of cope with that loss.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Um, I think we're just going to summarize the whole podcast, because
Yeah.
I think we spoke about those things. But
Yeah.
before I go there,
Mm.
I can say, like, lately I was speaking to Lungelo about like losing a friend. I think that
Yeah.
can be like the greatest grief as well, that we go through, but we don't really see it.
Yeah, we don't really acknowledge
Yeah,
that one.
sometimes it's joy to like have the same friend
Mm.
from, and sometimes you lose those people and they're still alive. That's the thing, right? And you lose that person that you always thought that they'll always be there for you. I feel like when we looking at this processes, we should also be intentional about like grieving friendships, so that we do not have like unresolved issues in our hearts against people that we see every day on social media and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So I can say my advice, which is, I'm just a human being. I'm
Yeah.
just saying this as a human. I'm not a counselor, psychologist, whatever.
Yeah.
But my advice, it'll just be, go through it with God, you know? Like, yeah, just he's he's all good, man. And
Yeah.
how I said, or how we said, there's nutrients to get out from this bitter fruit. It helps you to, how I said, to empathize, and I believe we can learn different things from grief, and we can even get drawn closer to God. Like in my past life where I wasn't saved, that process led me to get saved.
Yeah.
So I believe that there's nutrients, and God will be there for you. God will be there for you, man, and He'll be there for you in a way that you've never experienced Him before. So yeah, my advice is just put pride aside, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we can have this pride to say nothing is working for me, and which is like not the things of God, because God is always, God's ways are always the truth, they're always right. But sometimes you find that you're practicing all these things, um, meditation, uh, metaphysics, all these things, Buddhism, all these things that are just like not working.
Yeah.
And you just have that pride to say, I cannot leave this and try God. Yeah. If you're not, if you haven't tried Him yet, just put that pride aside and try God. And yeah, man, I can say that's the answer to the world. That's the answer to such problems.
Wow. Yeah. That hit me like right here. Actually, just putting pride aside.
Yeah, because
That's so
sometimes
profound.
we can take these lessons from. I have nothing against Oprah. I have nothing against all these Jada Pinkett Smith people who are just trying to give people advice on life, but that's not the truth.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like they can help you for that one day,
Yeah.
that one time. 3 days later, you find yourself empty again, and you need to go back to that.
Yeah. You
Well,
need something to fill you.
yeah. So try God, man. That's the answer to the world.
And that's so deep. You know, it seems like it's whatever, like try God, but it's so deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Okay. This was great.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for allowing me to have you. This was so great, and whoa, man. Okay,
Thanks.
this is quite a lot for me.
You're doing great, and
Thank you.
I'm proud to see you just tap into your capacity to impact the world in a positive way. We need people like you. So as we are just doing this, and you're doing this more and more and more, you're helping other people to tap in their capacity, also to tap into their communities in a positive way. Because I feel like we do have these gifts, but we exercise them in a way that it's not it's not really fulfilling, or it's not helping anyone. So I'm proud to see you go about it in a way that it's not about you, not in a selfish way.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's proud of you. Just
Thanks,
keep
man.
going.
Thank you.
Keep
We're gonna
going.
podcast. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, can you suggest a nice praise worship song that anyone listening to this can listen to, whether it's with regards to what we just spoke about, or something that just gets you up? What would you like to suggest?
I think around what we just spoke about,
Anything.
a song by Shane and Shane called Taste and See.
Yeah.
It's based on Psalm 34.
Okay.
Taste and see that the Lord is good.
All right, I'm gonna link it.
Those who run to Him, they are set free or something like that. Yeah. Just Psalm 34, Taste and See by a duet called Shane and Shane.
Shane and Shane. Yeah. I'm gonna link it. I'm gonna look for it and link it, and I'm gonna listen to it as well, because even I think yesterday you suggested a song, I don't know, on one of the groups. Yeah. And I played it, and then it just a whole playlist came out of that. I'm like, man, this is so dope.
Yeah, I like it. I like it too when you discover something new, and it just brings in
so new.
Yeah.
But man, thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too. It's like another fist pump.
Sure.
All right. I mean, it's the end of the episode, and guys, thank you just for listening, and I hope that this has helped you, because just sitting here and us talking has helped me a lot, and I hope you remember that, like I always say, whatever it is that you're going through, God really will see you through. And it's not just something that we say, it's something that is tested and it's seen, and we're still experiencing it. So I love you so much, and God loves you even more. And I hope you keep on keeping on. Until next time, mwah, bye.